the devil's trying to mess up my tire. We fix it and we just keep going. And the second time we fix it. And then finally we go, okay, why is this happening? Am I going too fast? Going too slow? What does this mean? And we don't stop. We just fix the problem. And a car is an excellent example because we'll have car troubles, and I'm telling you, it means something. We don't think it means anything. We're going to the wrong places, or we're going too much. We shouldn't be traveling as much. But we don't investigate. We just fix the car and then go on. We don't say, well, why is this happening to me? But God has His way in the whirlwind and in the storm. Yes, sir.
All the time.
How you can never expect
But one thing I learned, how I learned this fact, before I got to psychology, every time my mother would whoop me, she would tell me why.
Right.
And continue. And every time I think about it, I'm whooping again.
Right.
Because she knows she had no follow-up, and I was no follow-up in my head.
Well,
so I learned that part. I thought about it. She did give you an explanation.
Right.
She never said it was hurt her more, it was hurt me. She wasn't going to lie about this.
Right.
But she would just say, you did this, this is the reason why.
Right.
And there's that part of you here when something happens. And it may not be good or bad. It might just be built and all.
Well, but why is the storm coming? Is that because there's different reasons for the storm, right? There's the storm. Ronnie said really excellent thing. Sometimes the storm comes up to put wind in your sails. I really like that. That was really cool. Yeah. Oh, yes, ma'am.
So, when things happen, I always say, what am I supposed to learn from this?
Yes.
What am I supposed to learn from this?
Right. Right. Why is the storm? Because some of the storms are just simply to deepen your faith. Like Peter walking on the water in that storm when the disciples were in the ship, right? That storm was just simply to help them understand, look how I brought you through this storm. I'm bigger than the storm. So their faith was deepened. So the next time the storm came up, Peter was ready to walk on the water, right? Because he wasn't scared of the water anymore. But at first he was scared of the water. So there are things that we're scared of. We're scared of what the doctor says. We're scared of what this says. And then after a while, you're not scared of that anymore because you know God's bigger than that. So some storms come up to deepen your faith. Some storms come up to change your direction, right? But some storms come up because you're heading the right direction, but there are lessons to learn along the way. And God's going to change how you get there, how you think you're supposed to get there. So that's what's happening with Paul.
The amazing part I learned too, how I appreciate most times was a test of the day. That storm doesn't last 2, 3, 4, 5 years. You know, that's how I use the deduct from that.
Right, you say
a day for 25, 30 minutes, or even a couple of days, something happens, and then it goes back.
right.
Like he doesn't, if they work, they both last a month, and you would be able to pull out the good.
Right. So for you, it's how long the storm is.
Right.
Right. So you say, okay, this storm has been going on for 20 years, so that's got to be different than a storm that goes on for 20 minutes. Right? Okay, so there's different. So Paul is at Sidon, right? And he's trying to figure out, why did we land here? He's not in the storm yet, but there's a reason he landed in Sidon. He's reminded of Nineveh, and it says, the Lord is slow to anger, and Nahum. Great and power will not acquit the wicked. The Lord has His way in the whirlwind and in the storm. And the clouds are the dust of His feet. So as, you know how the Bible says He shakes the dust off His feet? As you leave, just shake the dust off your feet. The clouds are just the dust of His feet as He's leaving the situation. He came in, it was the whirlwind, he brought the storm, and then He leaves, and the cloud is just the dust of His feet as He's leaving away. This is why the Bible is so interesting. I love the Bible because it's really fantastic. I can't get people to read Nahum and Habakkuk, but you read and go, oh my goodness. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yes, ma'am. Yes. Right, exactly. Right. So that's how we're supposed to look at it. He came in, but there's a difference between the whirlwind and the storm. Right? He comes, sometimes everything just gets shaken up, but the storm is different. The storm you have to ride out and see, what does this mean? Where is He taking me? Okay, so we're going to read Hebrews chapter 12, verse 6 and verse 10.
For whom the Lord loves and chastens His purges every son whom He receives.
Now here's how I am. So He's mad at Tyre and Sidon. You're mad at Nineveh. Because Nineveh repented and then they went back just to what they were doing. One reason that your foster mother thought she might have to keep faith in you is because he's going to do it again. He's only repenting for right now, but as soon as I leave, he's going to just figure out another way to do it. Right? So I'm going to have to come back and whoop you again. And that's how God felt about Nineveh. He sent Jonah, warned them, they repented, and then they went back to it in the same way. So he said, Nineveh, I'm not going to have to blow you up. That's not the same way God treats us. It says, for whom the Lord loves, he chastens, or he corrects, and scourges every son whom he receives. So these things happen to us because God's trying to teach us a lesson. They don't come as judgment because God is punishing us. It's between punishment and discipline. I'm doing this to you to train you, or I'm doing this to punish you. Now, our people, sometimes they punish us because they were upset. God doesn't punish us because we're upset. He disciplines us because he loves us. And there's a difference. I'm allowing this to happen because I want you to learn a lesson from it. I'm not even mad. I'm just trying to train you differently. So this thing that's happening in your life is there so to force you to make a different decision because you've got this wrong thinking in your head, and I'm trying to get you to think differently. So this is out of love. Verse 10 of Hebrews chapter 12.
Over there, for it is teaching us as seed best to him, that he for our profit that we may be partakers of.
So they, our parents or our people who disciplined us, they chastened us for a few days as seemed best to them. Because sometimes they lost their patience. I just can't take it anymore. I'm going to discipline you. You need to be quiet. But he does it for our profit. Sometimes they did it just because they were exhausted. Does that make sense? You just be exhausted, I can't take it anymore. I'm going to shut you up. That's based on me. I'm doing it because I need you to shut up all the way. But that's me. But God never does it because, I just lost my patience, I can't take it. Give me a headache. He always does it for our profit. Every move, for those of us who love us, every move that he makes is for our profit, not because he's mad at us. And there's a difference whether it's coming from somebody who loves you and is just thinking, okay, how can I help this person? Then, how can I punish this person because I'm so sick of them? The wicked he punishes. Those he loves, he chastens, he disciplines.
But the process again is how you manage it.
Right.
And how you process it.
Right. How are you interpreting it?
And the information you have, you sit that and look like that, you're going to go beyond what you're normal book.
Right. You only
I
respond
use
to
it all the time with my clients. Like, you don't know better because you haven't got there yet.
Right.
I just give you a different view.
Right.
That situation. I do a trauma work. I say the trauma work is like, and that was also bad. I always use that.
Right.
Oh, okay, so let's have a different perspective.
Right.
Right. It's hard to process that, right? They're following real strict discipline. Very powerful.
Right.
So I was up in the old Thursday, to build a house. And so he speaks, it drives his crazy.
Right.
So they still remember that he broke his back when he was younger. He was a very angry person.
Right.
So now they remember 40 years down the road.
And they're still responding based on
I
that.
go there, I turn it into a joke. He always says, you're smart, so he always, I don't process that as an hate piece.
Right.
So I told her, I said, this is because of where you got to come from, that you don't know that he has to be a giant.
Right.
Very giving, loving, caring, and all that. But he's still looking at him and always shaking his feet. That's your boy, he has to something that doesn't talk. Because he's a real boy.
Right.
Now 42.
So what you're saying is so somebody could say something like, hand me that phone. And if you think this person loves you, you interpret that as a nice thing.
Exactly.
But it can sound like, hand me that phone. And you interpret it, that's how you're hearing it. That's not how they're saying it, that's just how you're hearing it, right? And so we hear things a certain way based on how we perceive the person, right? If you think God is an angry God and he's yelling at you and he's always mad at you, then when things are happening, why is God doing this to me? I don't understand why God's doing this to me. But if you know God loves you, then there's the thing that happens, you go, oh, what's the lesson I'm supposed to learn? Same things are happening, but you are interpreting it a certain way. And Paul's about to go through a series of things, and he has to learn, why is this happening? Is this happening because God is mad at me, or because God loves me and is trying to teach me something? You're going to say something?
I think,
If you forgot it, don't try to come up with it. Though.
I'm not coming up with it. I think all right, let's get women, right?
Okay.
I'm ignorant.
Women are Mother Earth.
Okay.
They bring forth life.
Okay.
Men, we are hunters by nature,
Yeah.
but we don't realize that the five most important things is that we gotta be protector, the prophet, the provider, also the person head of the household. So I'm learning, man, you just gotta also be able to take in and not be so emotional. Learn to be silent. Time when your family wouldn't use it to be.
Right. Don't be so reactive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I'm sorry. I don't mean to bust you off, man. Me and you had a crazy argument the other day.
Right.
I had to realize I had to come to myself. Because you were saying something to me, and I just got emotional. But it's because of past experiences and all this, like past experiences saying that I'm super, same thing with my mom. But I didn't realize maybe we was getting whoopings because she was trying to show us you got a responsibility that you gotta take. So you gotta stay the course. So I'm not whooping you because I'm beating you because I don't like you. I'm beating you because I love you. I want you to understand what's going on here.
Yeah.
And then straighten up.
That's good. That's good. So we can't react so much. When things are happening, when we're in the storm, how are we looking at it? How are we looking at the situation? Are we yelling at God? Are we, okay, God loves me, so I know it's all going to work out. God's not going to do anything differently. So it's up to us to adjust our attitude. He's not going to go, oh, that really hurt your kids. God isn't here. I'm going to just discipline you anyway. Okay, let's look at Sidon. Because remember, Paul landed first, places landed in Sidon. Acts chapter 12, verse 20a and verse 20 through 24.
Now Herod had been very angry with the people of Tyre and Sidon.
Tyre and Sidon. Sure.
So on a set day, Herod prayed in oil of myrrh and gave an oration to them. And the people kept shouting, "The voice of a God and not of a man." Then immediately an angel of the Lord struck him, because he did not give glory to God, and he was eaten by worms and death.
So, now, to me, this is not that much about Herod as much about the city. Sidon kept being judged constantly. They'd repent for a minute, and then they would go back to their way. So they're trying to please Herod because he's mad at them. He's mad at Tyre and Sidon. And so they're trying to please him. When he came in and started talking, they're going, oh, the voice of a God, and they're being disingenuous because they want him on their side. And so God judges Herod right in front of him, like he's not a God. So who's God? Which one of us? Look what I just did. So is he God or me? That's for the city. That's for Sidon to realize you're giving glory to this man and not to me. When are you going to change? When are you going to change, Sidon? When are you going to change? Paul's first stop is Sidon. His first stop is Sidon. There's something that God is trying to teach him there. Okay. Yes.
Herod didn't get glory to God too, so that's.
I understand, yeah, he's mad at Herod, but there's also a lesson for Simon. Simon is continuing to be in trouble. Yes, so, yes, there was a lesson for Herod, but it was hard for Herod to learn that lesson and death. You're dead now, Herod, so I hope you learned that lesson. There was a lesson to be learned, it was probably for the people who were living. Right? It's harder for people who are dead to learn the lesson. So if God's also trying to, he's not just mad at Herod, he's also trying to give a sign to those people. You worshiped him and now he's dead. You said he was the voice of God. Really? Which one of us is God? So let's be clear. who the lesson was for, not the punishment. Right. Okay. So, Matthew chapter 15, verse 21 to 22.
Then Jesus went out from there and departed to the region of Tyre and Sidon.
You didn't know there's so much about Tyre and Sidon in the Bible, did you? And I left out half of it, by the way. So he went to Tyre and Sidon. Remember, they're always acting up. They're always in trouble. I didn't go through all the times in the scripture that Ezekiel prophesied against Tyre and Sidon and all these people. They're always in trouble. Jesus goes to this region. Go on.
And behold, a woman of Canaan came from that region and cried out to him, saying, Have mercy on me, O Lord, son of David. My daughter is severely demon-possessed.
So he's saying, Lord, have mercy on me. Now I skipped the scriptures. Remember, Jesus said nothing. Now this woman is from Tyre and Sidon. She's from the region of Canaan. They're all brothers. Canaan had, right, Sidon and all that. This whole region, they're always bad. So they've been in trouble all the time. And she's thinking, God is mad at me. Because I'm in the curse. And that's like being from Sodom or Gomorrah or something like that. It's like, how are you going to show up here asking for something? So when she first yelled it out, Jesus ignored him. So she yelled it out again. And he says to her that the dogs don't get the scraps or something like that, right? Yeah. At least the dog get the scrap, get the crumbs to the table. Because they call themselves dogs, and everybody else called them dogs.
Right.
As long as you think that God is mad at you, as long as you think that God hates you, you're not going to really open yourself to receive from Him. You're not going to really believe that He is going to bless you. There are people that come up to get prayed for, and some are crying because they think God's not going to do it. Some are crying because they love the Lord. But some are crying because they don't think God's going to do it. This is not going to happen. I'm up here, but the situation is too bad. And they really look at themselves like, God, you know, the doctor said I have cancer or this or whatever the thing is, and they're crying, and I can pray for them, but they do not believe because of how they see themselves. Does that make sense? Now, I'm not saying everybody who's crying, that's why they're crying. But some people, I know why they're crying. And when they walk away, they don't believe they got it. Right? Pastor Griffin will spend extra time trying to, because he'll see, he knows that they don't believe. Right? So, Jesus knew I could pray for this woman, but she's going to walk away not thinking that she's got it. So he exposes what he thinks. He says her thoughts to her. And she fights it. She says, no, even the dogs deserve scraps. I know that we've got the dogs all this time because I'm from Tyre and Sidon and we've always been in trouble. But even we deserve forgiveness. Even we deserve more. And that's what he says to her, to read the next verse, verse 28.
And Jesus answered and said to her, O woman, great is your faith. Let it be to you as you desire. Her daughter was healed from that very hour.
He says, that's it. That's the attitude you have to have. Even though I've been bad, even though I'm from a terrible region, even though I have the worst life and everything, even the dogs get crumbs from the table. And so I know God is going to give me something. He said, that's great faith because you are transcending your background. You're transcending where you came from. That you've got to have that kind of faith. You can't look at any excuse. You can't say my daddy was bad or my mom was this or that. God doesn't care about any of that. Or I used to be a prostitute or what. He doesn't care. He loves you, and you've got to believe that He's got something for you. Otherwise, you'll walk away crying. You won't receive it. So He says, that's great faith. That's great faith. That's the kind of faith that you need to have. And so that's the lesson that Jesus taught in Sidon. That even a woman from Sidon, even from that bad part of town, deserves forgiveness. Deserves forgiveness. So, look, yes.
I think that we recognize that God never punishes us, that He just chases us so that we can go in a different direction.
Yes.
That should help your faith a lot more.
Exactly.
If you just, okay, why is this happening? There's got to be a lesson. God's got to be showing me a different trajectory for my life. So, let me go.
Right, he's not judging me, he's not
Exactly.
angry with me, he's just simply correcting the course that I was on. So yes, I'm gonna go with it. He's on my side, he's not against me.
I learned a lesson too, like an own person. Is that, the man on the radio was saying that we have to know that we're worthy of forgiveness.
Right,
I'm always trying to figure out how to process it. So you have to know you're worthy of forgiveness. So that helps you to figure out, okay, it might be a moment, it might be a test, it might be a storm, it might be a stuff. However, that's what I experienced last year. I said, I'm worthy of forgiveness, I'm worthy to have a job, and I'm worthy, that's why he changed my job. First I was applying for mediocre, the one that you can give me, I got 20
Right.
years experience. The one that I said, wait a minute.
God has something bigger and better
And I'm
for me.
sitting there playing, I don't want to tap into the other part that I do, but I'm not recognizing. So I said, well, I'm not worried about that because I haven't done what my other colleagues have done. You know, they've been doing this 40 years. I said, I'm worthy of a new position, I'm worthy of forgiveness. So my whole attitude changed, like, okay, they look at it, we can move it, keep on pushing.
Right, and we have to have that, if God's speaking to our heart, sometimes we shove it away, we think, I don't deserve that, I don't deserve that. And so as long as we think you don't deserve it, you won't receive what God has for you. So when He starts speaking to your heart, hey, I'm actually gonna do this for you, we think, oh, that's never gonna work. There's a race of people who they think God has bigger and great stuff for them. So they'll go and, there's a race of people who come up with a great idea, you know what, would be cool, if we did that, but they'll never act on it. And there's a race of people who think, yeah, I'm gonna jump on that and do that. And they act on it and go and make $1 million. And we say, I had that same idea. Well, did you ever think people know? Because we just don't think. And so we don't act because we just have an attitude like, well, God's not gonna do that for me. Well, He might. But you gotta act, you gotta receive it, you gotta move that way. So you have to understand that God will forgive, and it doesn't matter what your past is. And so, but conversely, you gotta be that, have that same attitude toward other people who've done you wrong. Yes. I'm almost done, yes.
Can we not just imagine how Paul was feeling from the beginning when he started? When he thought, one vacation, two little trips.
Right.
And God just spun him around.
Yes.
He in court,
Right.
now he's a prisoner,
Right.
and he's going through all these different scenes, seeing what all these different people from these different little places are enduring.
Right.
Until we get to actually the destination.
Right. And what he's thinking is like, why did I land inside him? Why are we here? I'm in a place where God wanted to judge these people, and yet He's still ready to forgive. He's still ready to forgive, right? God's constantly judging it, but just like Jesus made sure this woman knows, even though you're from this bad region, you've got to have faith that I'm always ready to forgive. You can't, just because everything's been going wrong, don't think that I'm not on your side. And so Paul's thinking to himself, why am I here? Why do we land inside? Right? So here's what happened next. Acts chapter 27, verse 3b. So again, we've only done half of the verse. Now we'll do the second half of verse 3, and then go to verse 4.